Welcome everyone to the Learning to Birth webinar series. We have with us Christine Perez with us today. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you. Hello.
Christine has over 20 years experience working as a nurse in neonatal and pediatrics. Christine's internationally certified in infant massage and developmental care certified, and an advocate who teaches healthcare professionals family-centered developmental care. This sounds all really exciting, Christine. Do you want to give us like some of the history, like to your background?
Yeah, so I became a nurse in the 1990s and started in pediatrics, but I always loved the babies. So everyone was like, why don't you work in the neonatal ICU? You can work with babies all the time. So that's what I did. And so I've had a lot of different jobs throughout my nursing career. My favorite was 8 years of travel nursing. So I worked in 18 different neonatal ICUs all over the United States. So pretty cool. And I've been a nurse educator. I've helped open new hospitals, but my passion is really family-centered care and all the topics of today, infant massage and skin to skin, really empowering parents with knowledge so that they have tools to help their baby and understand their baby.
That's incredible. Pregnancy, we can put so much emphasis on the labor and the birth, but really what we're doing it for is the baby at the end. And we need to kind of think ahead and prepare about ways not only to look after us and ourselves like mamas during the birth and labor, also like what sort of things we're going to do for our baby as well, you know, once we've successfully birthed them. So I guess you're here to talk to us about the whole neonatal experience, neonatal needs. You know, we get hung up on breastfeeding. It's not just about breastfeeding, it's about the baby. Do you want to tell us like what the neonatal period is and how long it lasts for?
Yeah, so when you hear the word neonatal, it's the World Health Organization's definition is referring to babies that are under 28 days old. So basically the first month of a baby, or if a baby's born preterm, that's also in the neonatal period. So until a baby's 28 days old, they're still in the neonatal period, which is really important because that is the period where a baby is the most vulnerable and where something is most likely to happen or go wrong. So.
Yes, I had experiences with both my babies. You know, you think that you're just going to birth, everything will be okay, baby's okay. And a lot of mums unfortunately experience, you know, situations where you go home and then you're back at hospital again with baby. That happened with me and both my babies, you know, we were back at hospital for a little bit after they were born out of, you know, circumstances totally outside of our control. What are some special needs that babies have during that neonatal period?
So they're the most vulnerable because especially babies that are born preterm, all of their systems are immune, so they're still developing and a lot of things can go wrong. But also that's when the baby's learning how to eat, that's when the baby's learning self-regulation for sleep, it's when the baby's learning how to control their temperature. So as new parents, we have to be cognitive of all of those things in the neonatal period and get to know your baby's cues. So if something doesn't seem right, the best person that's going to know is the parent. Are they pooping enough? Are they peeing enough? Are they eating different than they were a few days before? It's the little things that you'll know and the gut feeling as a parent that something's wrong with your baby.
As a general guideline, what would a parent be looking for as the signs of a healthy baby during the neonatal period?
They're going to keep you up all night wanting to eat.
Yeah.
Because they eat small, frequent meals, their stomach is only like this big. So that's why they eat all the time, is because they have little tiny stomachs. And with every day, the stomach gets bigger. So that's why you'll see as the baby gets older, they'll sleep longer because they can hold more milk. And also mom's producing small amounts of milk, and then the milk comes in and the baby can tolerate more. So it's pretty amazing how the body works. So the baby's going to eat every couple hours, every 1 to 3 hours, depending on the baby, which you'll get to know your baby. And the baby usually pees about 6 times a day and at least 1 poop a day. Some babies poop all the time. So every baby's different. That's why it's good for each parent to understand their baby and not say, my baby only pooped 4 times or peed 3 times. Every baby's going to be a little bit different because we're all different as people. So.
I always say to moms who tell me they're pregnant, like, just sleep. All you do is sleep, because you know, on like groups like of new mums, they'll, you know, often you'll see mums saying, my baby's 2 weeks old and all it does is keep me up all night wanting to feed and I don't get any sleep. What's wrong? What's wrong? And you're saying that's probably completely normal.
Yeah, your baby's really healthy. Yeah.
And if you think someone who's not eaten, like if you yourself go on a fast and you don't eat for a day or a week or something, you have to be really careful when you go back. You don't just suddenly, you know, pile on the burgers, you know, or everything, do you? Because so it's the kind of the same with the baby. Their gut that has never been used before in the way that it's going to be used ingesting milk. They've got to go slowly, haven't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is really important to know. I'm so grateful we all know that now. Some things happened to me when my babies were young. I was like, whoa, my mum was blown. I didn't know these things could even happen. Tell us about like neonatal acne.
So actually half the babies that are healthy will get some type of neonatal acne. The most common kind is something called milia. So it's like these little bumps that you'll see on the baby's face, and parents are like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with my baby? But it actually resolves on its own and it's okay. Sometimes they may have little red bumps on their cheeks and sometimes on their back, like a newborn rash or neonatal acne, and that also goes away. When you're most concerned is when there might be a bacteria kind of rash. But usually with those types, the baby's going to have other symptoms of being sick. So it's usually not just the rash, but if it's something serious, it's usually in conjunction with something else.
Now, if you notice and you have your baby and maybe they're going a little bit yellow or a bit of a funny color, like what is that?
So that's also neonatal jaundice, which is also something that's very common. Most babies are going to get jaundice. So the easy way to explain it, I've always explained to parents in the NICU, is everybody has red blood cells. I think everybody knows what a red blood cell is, right? Well, we all get new ones. And so when we're done with the old ones, they break apart, and it's called bilirubin. And then we have our liver that helps us pee and poop out this bilirubin. Well, babies have lots of extra stuff going on, so they can't pee and poop it out fast enough. So then there's higher level of bilirubin making the baby yellow. So that can be normal, but there's times where it's concerning and the babies can be admitted to the neonatal ICU or need something called phototherapy. So that's when there's different types. They just can't excrete it fast enough for whatever reason, so we have to get the phototherapy. It's like a blue light. It basically makes the baby pee and poop out the bilirubin so they can get better and go home. But there's also moms that have a different blood type than baby, and that can cause a more serious type of jaundice. And so the recommendation is that every baby before they get home, they're either going to get a blood sample or one that can be read on the skin or the forehead and see where their bilirubin is to see are they higher risk or not higher risk.
Well, that's good. I didn't even know.
I'm glad you learned something new.
You know, babies have got so many cute reflexes, you know, they kind of go like that. Do you want to tell us like what some of the neonatal reflexes are and maybe when they disappear?
Yes. So there's lots of different reflexes and they're automatic. Like the baby can't control them. It's kind of like a survival mechanism. So babies have these reflexes so they can survive because they have to look for food and they need to eat. So they'll do the one where they're doing this and they're trying to find the nipple. And then I have a little prop here. And there's this one, if you drop something, the baby's gonna startle and then come back. Yes. And that one goes away in about 2 months. And that is the startle reflex or the moral reflex. Then there's one where you go like this and you're like, sometimes they can get pretty strong and you're like, but they actually don't have any control of their strength, even though if you think they do. And that's their grasp reflex. And then if you do it on their little foot, they'll squinch their little toes. This one goes away in a few months. This one goes away closer to a year because you're going to use that when they're starting to learn how to walk.
When I had my babies, I just cut my hair off. Because you just like, They just grab it and they don't let go because they can't. They're just so.
Yeah. And they have no control of it, so they're not trying to be almighty or they didn't just work out. It's just a natural, automatic thing. They're just grabbing for food.
Army cut it. You're here to talk to us about like something really special today that's dear to your heart, and which I think the name must come from my home country, Australia, because it's called kangaroo care. What is kangaroo care?
Yes. So kangaroo care is also called skin to skin care in the United States too. And what it is what happened was, it was in Colombia, they didn't have enough incubators to keep the little preterm babies warm. And so they thought, well, let's put the baby on the mom's chest. And they actually found that the preterm babies on the mom's chest had better outcomes than the babies in the incubator. So then this started the whole skin to skin. But how it looks is how it got its name. I'm not going to fully demonstrate because this would go viral. We're not trying to do that. Practical today. So basically, the mom or dad can do this too, but when a baby's first born, you need it to be mom because you're trying to start that bonding connection and you want to get the breast milk, the lactation going. So the first skin to skin should be with mom. And actually, there's a lot of research showing moms that have skin to skin during in the C-section do much better. So I don't know if you're doing it in Australia, but in the United States, we have what's called the golden hour, where if a mom has C-section, even in the operating room, they go right to mom's chest so that they can have that immediate bond. The recommendation is not to even wait 5 minutes. Like, you really want to get that baby on mom's chest. So skin to skin is just putting the baby on its tummy, like this. And then when the baby's not, newborn old, you're going to have the diapers on so they don't pee and poop all over you. So just the baby in the diaper. And then you take a blanket. And now they have fancy shirts and all kinds of kangaroo skin to skin things, tank tops, all kinds. And then you do this. And that's how it's got the name kangaroo care, because it's like the baby's in a pouch.
In a little pouch.
So, anyone, it doesn't matter, preterm, term, every baby should have skin to skin. Even babies in a NICU that are on ventilators that are sick or preterm, we still put them skin to skin because the research shows that a mom can actually regulate the baby's body temperature. She can regulate the baby's vital signs. And we find that if a baby is on a ventilator and she's skin to skin with mom, their oxygen needs actually go down and they do so much better. It also stimulates the milk production, so it helps with breastfeeding. Research finds that moms that do skin to skin, their babies breastfeed longer than babies that aren't skin to skin. So they really need that that touch. And of course, this leads into my favorite thing also, is infant massage.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Massage, I like
Massage. So actually, the largest organ in your entire body is your skin, is your largest organ. So your baby's first form of communication is actually touch. So every time you're touching your baby, you're basically talking to your baby and communicating to your baby. And so your baby's brain is still in development at this age. And so anytime we're holding and doing things like this, this is still considered massage. People think massage is like massage, but a containment hold like this, just holding your baby, can also be massage. And what that does is it sends signals to the brain of something wonderful and positive, and it has so many benefits for the babies. So it helps them gain weight, actually. Babies that are massaged have better cognition, better speech, better motor development, better neural development. They have less risk of infections. And this is interesting. Do you think it would be better to massage a baby with oil or without? I'd like to see what you think.
I think it really depends on their skin and what their skin needs. It might be on a baby-to-baby kind of basis, but you tell me the answer.
Actually, the recommend. Actually, the recommendation is to use oil because it actually serves as a lubricant to the skin and causes a protective barrier. So they found even in babies that are small and preterm, using massage, they had lower rates of infection than babies that were massaged and didn't have the oil. And then there's the best oil is actually, you could just get it at the grocery store or nutrition place. Is just you can use sunflower oil, coconut oil. My favorite is sunflower oil because sunflower oil has natural properties that help gain weight. So we wouldn't want to take a shower in it, but for a baby, good. And you want things that are unscented because a lot of people want to know, oh, if I massage my baby, can I throw some lavender on there? Actually, you don't want any type of essential oil when you're massaging a baby because you want them to associate the massage with your scent or their daddy scent. So you definitely don't want anything with oils. And lotions actually aren't really good for the baby's skin. And it's really sad, but if you look at any lotion that you have, like baby lotions, and look at the ingredients, the majority of them contain alcohol.
Ooh.
So alcohol is actually drying to the skin. So what happens is you need to add more and more lotion, and then you need to buy more and more lotion. So you're just drying out the skin by using lotion. So you'd better off using oils than you are lotions. So sad, right?
This is all incredible knowledge. Like when I had my babies, I put both of them immediately, or I had, I give birth, bring them to chest,
Yes, skin to skin.
Pull them up, put them on your chest. I think my daughter had to be taken away. She wasn't in a great way when she came out. It wasn't her fault. It was just the cord around her neck. Had to really
kind of have to breathe sometimes.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, bring her up. Oh, we got to kind of fix that. All right, deal with that. Bring her back. So she came back to me as soon as she could. And I did have it when I did have a birth plan for my first baby. Like if it was a C-section, bring it up. So this is 12 years ago. So even 12 years ago in Australia, you had that option if it was a C-section.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Kangaroo care. Yeah, I had a really good doula that first time who advised me about all of this stuff. I wouldn't have known otherwise. And I read really good books too, which, I'll talk about another time. So I had both my babies and wow, I don't know how I can really explain it, but they've been in your belly, they've been bonded physically, but when they're out of your body, the physical bonds, it's not like you're physically connected anymore, but you are. And at that time when they're on your chest and you just feel such a strong connection to them, and they're looking for the breast, they're so alert. If you haven't had an epidural, I don't know what it's like with an epidural, but without an epidural, they're very alert, they're very awake, they've had that big rush of adrenaline and everything coming out, and they're looking for the breast. And I think it sets you up like for the next 2, 5, 10 years of your life together. Like that bond, it can't be removed. It's that strong animal bond. Yeah, and
that's the thing with touch and skin to skin. So also with the massage and the skin to skin, the research is also finding it's lowering rates of postpartum depression. So postpartum depression is after you have a baby, instead of feeling happy and joyous, you have these feelings of sadness. But with the skin to skin and the infant massage, what happens is this natural hormone in your body called oxytocin gets released. We call it the feel-good hormone. And so it makes you happy. So they're finding if you massage your baby and do skin to skin, you're less likely to get postpartum depression. And also decreases anxiety. If you're an anxious person, it will actually help decrease anxiety if you have underlying anxiety too. So it even has benefits for moms.
That's incredible. I guess, why would we do the massage for baby? Does it change things developmentally for them? Does it help their brain connections grow? What happens?
It helps the brain connections. It's giving that sense of communication, and it's forming the bond between mom and baby, or dad and baby if dads do massage too. And you really get to learn your baby's cues and what they need. I have a good example of that. I don't have any babies of my own. I've just been taking care of them for 2 decades now. But I was taking care of a baby that was exposed to drugs, so we didn't have a family around. and I would give him the massage. And then he, after 2 days of doing the massage, he would like stick out a leg or stick out an arm. Like he's like, this is what I would like today. Like you start to learn what they need. It's amazing.
That's incredible. And, you know, I had to stay in hospitals a few times with my kids when they were younger, like that neonatal stage. And that was, I'm going to say, it was some of the hardest times of my life, because you've just given birth and you're not, it's not just, you know, walking in the park kind of feeling. And you have to be, you know, you're not being taken care of now in the maternity ward. You're in the children's wards, and you're just on a, what is it? I don't know. I'm trying to think what you call them. Just there's terrible things.
A roll-out sofa bed.
Yeah, worse than that. Like, oh, and you just, you know, you're needing to be at home with your baby moon. I've been there. But I did it for my kids because I knew how important, you know, I grew up on a farm and used to see animals and how they bond. And I just knew how important it was to my kids that I stayed. And, you know, you often see a lot of things, you know, and you would have too. And my mum was a neonatal nurse as well. You know, and
awesome.
she used to tell me the stories about how she would just, all the little babies in the hospital, she would just hold them all night, you know, because it's so sad. And I totally empathize with mums who can't be with their little babies, because, oh my God, depending on the birth you've had, you could be feeling all sorts of things. But I felt really sorry for the other little babies I saw in the hospitals who, you know, didn't have their mums, you know, touching them and stuff like that. They were just there all day by themselves. So it's a beautiful thing that if you can do that touch to touch. Now you're saying dads can do it too. Can we do it like in the hospitals? Like, let's say we've given birth in the hospital and we're still there for a few days, like in the maternity wards. I know maternity wards, depending on where you go, like what sort of place you're in, they might be, I mean, lots of different countries have different practices. Like I've heard of practices in some countries where they'll put the baby in a baby ward and only bring them to you like 2 times a day or something for feeding. If you're in a hospital, like, can you still do the kangaroo care if you're on a maternity ward?
Yeah, because it doesn't really cause any harm to the baby. You know, it's only beneficial. And then as far as infant massage, it's not, I wish every country like knew about it, but even in the US, it's a new thing in the US. So, but parents that have been trained in it can do it. And there are some hospitals that we have here where they train the moms and dads how to do the infant massage. So the best thing to do is where you live. It's just, you could just simply Google infant massage classes near me. And I think everywhere there's always someone that can teach it. And I feel like it's best to learn with someone that's been trained, because there's more to it than just a stroke. So you need to learn like the best time to massage a baby, which is you learn the cues. I have a few examples like this one. So a baby that has their arm up, parents always think this is the baby saying, hi, but actually when you see your baby's doing this, they're actually saying stop because they're overstimulated for some reason. So it's good to learn and take the class and like learn the different cues. Wow. But then if you look at this one, this would be a good time to massage your baby. See how the baby's happy and responding. Yeah. Another good time to massage a baby.
Oh, actually, my son, I don't think I did any classes about baby massage. I knew nothing about it. Maybe my doula mentioned it to me, but my son, he loved foot massages, and he wasn't just gently rub the foot. Like he would let you know, he loved his heel being thumped. Like he was a really strong baby. He was like this crazy strong baby. He was like running at 8 months old. And he was just,
oh my gosh.
I'm not kidding. He was like Tarzan in a baby. I got kicked out of baby yoga at 5 months old because he was climbing up the mothers. So
you got kicked out of baby yoga?
Who else gets kicked out of baby yoga?
Oh my goodness.
He liked to be like, seriously, like a thump on the bottom of his heel. He loved it. He would put his heel up, you know, and he wasn't happy until you seriously thumped it.
So massage, they do.
Try that at home.
That is not a technique we teach in classes.
Don't do it.
But it is a moderate pressure. So one thing to talk about is, I see a lot of parents will do like the stroking. It's actually the baby's nervous system is still developing. They prefer more like a moderate pressure than they do like a stroking. If you think about when you're sick and think about if someone like does that to you, it like makes you all tingly. So they prefer more like the moderate touches than the stroking. So
would
more
you do
like
a gentle circle?
yeah, you can do that. You just don't want to do like this type of stroking thing, more like a moderate touch. Yeah.
So it's like, it's just really gentle and circling. It's not Swedish massage, Swedish massage. It's gentle. Can infant massage, can you do it on the belly? Does it help with, you know, babies?
Yeah, you can do it. There's like 10 different ones I've learned throughout different programs that you can do. And then there's specific routines that you can learn for babies that are colicky, and it really helps. Another thing that infant massage for is amazing is pooping. If you haven't had a baby yet, it'd be like pooping, but pooping is very important in the baby world. So I remember teaching this one mom, she came to me for infant massage classes, and her baby was a few months old and had problems pooping. And they had to keep going to the emergency room and getting a little suppository up the baby's bum to help the baby poop, which is not good for anybody. So I taught her some techniques on the stomach for massage. And that same night, the baby had the biggest blowout everywhere. They were having a poop party for their baby. And she never had problems again when she learned the massage. It's amazing. It helps you with so many things. And if a baby gets a cold, there's things that you can do to help with the congestion. There's lots of pressure points on the feet that help with digestion and respiratory problems. Just by doing something simple on the foot, you can relieve all types of pressures and problems.
I guess that comes down to reflexology, but I guess that probably comes down to principles of reflexology. I guess if someone looked into that.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, when I grew up on a farm. I still live in the country. But, you know, saw a lot of baby animals, you know, and you see the mamas, they always lick their babies' bellies, you know, and so what you're saying, it was like the baby's almost, you know, and I think that would probably come through like in elimination communication, although that's a totally different subject. I think like the mamas just, you know, of the cows or the horses, you know, they would lick their babies' bellies and then that's how they poo, and it's sort of like that communication. Yeah,
and when you're like doing it and the massage, it's making everything move and it's letting out the gas. It's helping them with regular bowel patterns. And also babies that are massaged sleep better. So it's good for the whole family. They have deeper sleep than babies that don't get massaged. So it even helps the whole family because they get more sleep.
This is sounding beautiful, and it sounds like a beautiful way. Like, it doesn't just have to be mom who learns how to do this.
Oh no, my niece is 4, and my brother-in-law was the one that massaged her because and she still gets massage from him. So it could be the dads too.
Oh, beautiful. Look, yeah. A lot of babies get colic. Colic can be caused by a whole lot of different things, but does it help with colic, you know, in general?
Yeah, there's a specific sequences you have to learn for colic, but it really helps alleviate that.
Well, this is incredible. I didn't know any of this because it's telling me like it's almost as if like the body, like there's patterns in the body that if you connect like the sensations up with the brain, it just learns how to do stuff. That's amazing.
Yeah, and so I think infant massage is a powerful tool for new parents to learn even before they have the baby, so that if a baby is having problems pooping, they know what to do. It helps their baby sleep better. Later in life, the babies are going to be grow up actually to be happy, healthier adults. They even did studies and found that people that were massaged when they're babies are more likely to get degrees, less likely to be criminals, all those types of things. So it really like impacts you all the way through your stages of life.
It's amazing. And probably just like, this is a totally different subject, and I don't normally talk about horses, to be honest. But you know, like you talked about when they put their hand up, that's saying go back. Well, that's enough. I'm overwhelmed. With horses, what they do is they'll turn their head away from you, and you think, oh, that's the horse has turned its head away from me. I'll go up to it and pat it. It's like, no, that's when you step back and let them come to you. And what you're talking about is just so interesting because it's like that whole kind of, there's things that, and then once you do that with a horse enough, even if a horse was really previously like really nervy and jittery, as soon as they see you, they just relax because they know that oh, my space is going, you know, they just know how to have that self-calming. So it's like what you're talking about, like when you connect the baby's brain up in this way to their body and that sense of calm, they know from then on in life, like how not ever to like get caught up in that fight flight reflex, is how to self-calm.
Yeah, so it's the massage really helps you not only bond with the baby, but learn the baby's cues so you can help them develop better mechanisms, just like the horse. It's totally true.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to bring up horses. It was just like relaxation. It's interesting stuff. What does like normal baby sleep look like? I mean, we've talked about up all the time feeding, but apart from that, like what would you really see as normal
babies can sleep like 17 hours a day. 7, sometimes up to 20 hours. They really sleep majority. They're just up for small periods to eat.
But sorry, mums, yeah, it's not in one big stretch. It's
yeah, no. So in the beginning, they really like are asleep a lot, even though it seems like you're up all the time. They just are sleeping in small increments.
Yeah.
And then speaking of sleep, it's important to understand about safe sleep also.
Yeah, what is safe sleep?
So I'm sure most people have heard the word son-infant death syndrome. Unfortunately, so that's when a baby passes in their sleep. Unfortunately, even after all these years, we do not know the exact cause. Like it's caused by we really don't know. All we know at this point is there's certain risk factors that make a baby more likely to have son-infant death syndromes. So the theory is if we decrease the risk factors, maybe we could decrease some of those times from happening. So some of those things are smoking. So if babies around smoke in the environment, it really increases their risk of having son-infant death syndrome. Then they're finding if the babies overheat, that can cause it. So I know we used to have like the bumpers in the cots or the cribs, and then a bunch of blankets on top of the baby. They're recommending no bumpers, and really all you need is just the baby in like a sleep sack and in the bed, or a nice warm pajamas, but not really, they're not really even recommending. We used to recommend swaddling, but even the baby can get out of the swaddle or overheat. So just no toys in the bed, just baby in the bed, and that's pretty much it. Less incidence of sudden death syndrome if baby is in the room with their parents in their own cot. So not in the parents' bed, but in a cot next to the parents, so they can sense their babies. And remember when we were saying like skin to skin helps regulate the baby's heart rate. So the mom being by the baby is really good, but just not in the bed. I've just seen so many sad things where, you know, you're in a deep sleep and you can roll over or things happen. So it's just better to have the baby in their own space, in their own bassinet. And then make sure the mattress is firm too. You don't want a really soft, squishy mattress.
Yeah, firm mattress and mattress covers. Let's just say that.
Okay, yeah.
We're massaging and they're gonna be pooping. Baby poop does not stay like it's runny stuff. It's milky. Let's just say that. Doesn't stay in the one spot.
And then one thing I really want to people might not know about this also is something that we call swaddle bathing. Do you know about that?
No, tell me.
So historically, you just take the baby, right? Put the baby in the tub, and then they scream and they go crazy. But we found that developmentally, even if a baby's preterm or a healthy term baby, they do better with a swaddle bath. So literally, you just get a blanket. If you use a muslin one because it's thinner, it's better. And you get the water nice and warm. 101 is the preferred temperature.
101.
Bath water.
Fahrenheit, not centigrade.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you tell the degrees stuff.
No idea what that is in centigrade, but luckily,
okay.
Just type in.
Look up the appropriate temperature for a bath because I'm not sure in the calculation.
101 Fahrenheit, and let's change that to centigrade. We'll probably put that.
Yeah.
I'll put that down below in the content.
Okay.
It's meant to be.
And then you want to put your baby just like how the baby swaddled like this.
Yeah.
And you just put it in the tub like this.
Wow.
And then you just wash one part of the baby, and then you cover it up and wash the other part. So the baby stays happy, warm, and contained during the bath. So there was, in Colorado, they actually did a study at one of the hospitals, and they gave babies bath the regular way we always do, half the babies. The other half the babies get a swaddle bath. The babies getting a swaddle bath loved it so much, they stopped the study, and postpartum at that hospital, all the babies get a swaddle bath.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So I like to always mention that too.
Now, I really think on my babies because, as you've said, their skin is so gentle, and these soaps have all sorts of things in them, even the baby soaps and probably alcohol too. Is that
so? There's a lot organic ones out there. I would stick with those and just look at the ingredients. And if you see anything with ethanol or alcohol, it's going to make your baby's skin even worse. It's going to dry your baby's skin out.
If there's suds, like if it's bubbles, it's probably got something in it.
Yes. Try to get organic for sure.
Yeah. And the thing is that you don't think babies can get that dirty, except obviously their nappies. Woo. But mine used to, particularly my son. I don't know. My daughter was fine. My son, he'd get milk behind his ears, milk under his armpits.
Yeah, people think that babies don't get dirty, but they do.
Milk under your armpits. They were just like, it just formed like little bits of milk, and like it was just like, oh my god. But he ate a lot.
But also, you don't want to bathe your baby every day because that can dry out their skin. They recommend every 2 or 4 days for a bath instead of every day because it actually makes your skin more dry if you're doing a bath every single day.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Every few days. It's probably what I did every few days because as a mum, who's got time to bathe the baby?
Because you want to keep their good bacteria on them. So if you give them a bath all the time, they're getting rid of the good bacteria. So.
Have you got any favorite books or like resources that you point? I mean, and maybe you can share the links with me afterwards if you want to share specific.
Yeah, I can share some links afterwards, but I also want to mention about music.
Yeah. Oh.
A lot of these moms are pregnant. This is really cool. So there's been a lot of research showing that if you pick a song and you always sing it to the baby, when they're pregnant, that will help you calm the baby when the baby's born. True story. I unfortunately only go as a NICU nurse to deliveries when there's a problem. So I got called to delivery room and it was twins, and they were taking one baby and we had to look at the baby because it was being naughty. And then the other twin was crying and something was going on with mom. So the dad came over there, and what do you know? He started singing Bob Marley, No Woman Don't Cry, in the middle of the operating room of the C-section. And those babies just like were so calm and mellow. Like as soon as he started singing, it was like silent. So it really does work. So you should pick a song. I don't know, whatever song is your favorite. And then other research shows like, I know like in the 1990s, we thought the best thing for preemies and babies was Mozart and all these things. But now what they're finding is the best music for babies is the parents. So the parents singing to the babies is actually the best music that there can be. So you can even make your own little like music and record it and play it for the baby. It's really good for the baby.
I couldn't contain my laughter. What you just said brought me back to my first son, and I think this is where I went wrong with him. I remember the song I used to sing him because I knew that information too 12 years ago, and it was the Muppet Show song.
The Muppet Show song.
And I think
maybe choose your songs wisely.
So I think
oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Maybe that's why I could never calm him down. I think I'm just choose your songs.
Oh my goodness.
Otherwise it won't work. It'll just well, there was something else. Hang on, there was something else I just thought of that you said there, and I was like really excited by it. What was the last? Do you remember the last thing you said at the end?
You can record your own music.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, probably people have seen this go around on Facebook about there being, a traditional African tribe, although this is probably something in a few different cultures around the world, where they would have a conscious conception, and even but like the mum would like channel the song of the baby she was going to have, and she would sing that song to the her male partner as they were conceiving the baby, and then she would sing it all through her pregnancy, and she would teach the tribe that song. And then the way this particular post goes on Facebook is that whenever that child did something that was you know, against the Moors, the principles of that tribe, you know, which we would consider, I guess, in this culture, we'd call it a crime or something. But
Yeah.
the whole tribe would gather and sing that person back their songs. They remembered who they were.
Where they came from. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So music's really powerful, and so is reading. And you should be reading during pregnancies. That's when you should start.
So reading for the mother is important during pregnancy. So what's that? Tell me about that.
Babies that are read to have better vocabulary, better speech, better cognition, and they're just getting to know your voice and your tones. And then when babies are born, it's highly recommended to be reading them from the beginning.
Oh, you know, I've always, look, I'm slack. I've always used Audible. Audible is great. And, you know, my son, you know, people couldn't understand, like he didn't like children's books, like ever. Like if you tried to show him a children's book, no. But
because you were always reading your books.
Yeah, like he just would. Yeah, like he would. But this is what's crazy, and I don't care if you don't believe me, because the father was there. Like the father can attest to this. Is that because? And this, you know, maybe this is the father's fault. I don't know, but he was like, I remember him being 18 months old, and all he wanted read to him was like I, Robot by Asimov. I kid you not, this child was listening to I, Robot by Asimov at not even 18 months old, probably younger. It was like maybe 14 months. And he would just, you know, he would like, no, you have to read it to me. And he would get upset if there was anything else. So I don't like each to their own, but yeah, definitely if they're hearing things like, you know, audiobooks or whatever, that, yeah, I don't know, it could make a difference.
Yeah. So see what you read. And then a good resource is Reach Out and Read. If you go to their website, they have a nice chart and it tells you the recommended books for the different ages. So infant, toddler, preschool, school. So if you want to like, you know, use that as a, I know they do it here sometimes for the baby showers. They have a bring a book, so you can have that list of babies. They can get the books that are appropriate for their milestones.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't think iRobot's probably on that list.
No, probably not. Like Goodnight Moon, you know, the usual.
Expert, okay? Expert, not me. Otherwise, I'll be charged with corrupting the youth. So.
Yeah. So that's a good resource. Reach Out and Read.
How do look, is there a way at all for mums listening here today to reach out to you or connect or follow you? Like, is there?
Yeah, so I post all the time on Twitter at NICU Thoughts, different things about preterm babies and term babies and what's happening. So if they're on Twitter, I'm at NICU Thoughts.
All right. And look, I tend to ask a really general question at the end, and I'll just come up with one now, I guess, for you. But I guess how do we, as mums, you know, how do we go about, you know, promoting things like, you know, kangaroo care or, you know, the other things you've talked about, like infant massage? Like, do you think that this is going to change the world? Like, how many people in the world should be doing this? How do we promote
everybody?
it?
My goal in life is everybody. I want one day to be like kangaroo, skin to skin, swaddle bathing. Everyone's like, it should be the normal. It shouldn't be something new or cool. It just should be what we do, right? That's my goal. But I think how it changes is just like things like this, just talking about it and the word out, like knowledge is power. So I think that just getting the word out, and then if one person does it, the other person does it. Kind of like this is, I think it's really cool. My 4-year-old niece, my sister the other day went into her room and she was playing with her dolls and she was breastfeeding her baby. Oh. And my sister's like, she's like, my baby got hungry, so I breastfed. And I thought, how cool that that's our culture's changing, that kids think that breastfeeding is normal now, because here, a few years ago, that wouldn't have been something normal to see.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Look, thank you for your time, Christine.
Thank you.
We'll include the links to follow you and everything in the content below, and send me any resources that you want to share with the mums listening today. And it's been great talking to you.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye, everyone. See you next time.